Hello, so today I'm going to talk about the most fundamental basics of Ashtanga Vinyasa Yoga, of what it is, of what makes its style different from the other ones, and what is so important here. So first of all, let's talk about the name. So we have such a long name, Ashtanga Vinyasa Yoga. What does it mean? Ashtanga means from Sanskrit, it's translated like 8 limbs, 8 parts. And this is about the traditional 8 parts of yoga, which Patanjali described in his Yoga Sutras. And those limbs, they include some ethical and moral rules, how to behave. Also, of course, it includes physical practice, breathing techniques, and some meditation and concentrational practices as well. Then, Vinyasa. What is Vinyasa? So Vinyasa is the connection between the breath and the movement. So you see, we even have it in the name of the style, and from this we can realize that it's super important to breathe properly in Ashtanga. And now, a little bit later, I'm going to show you what kind of breath we use and how to do that. So the first characteristic feature of Ashtanga Vinyasa Yoga is this connection, this deep connection between the breath and the movement. And it is because, and thanks to this connection, Ashtanga Yoga works in such a powerful way, not just on the physical level, which is of course also super important, but also on this mental and energetic level as well, because the breath is something that connects us with our subconscious, unconscious mind as well. So the second characteristic feature of Ashtanga Vinyasa Yoga is that we have a few series of postures here. Actually, there are 6 series in general, and every next series is harder than the previous. So in my beginner course, we're going to learn half of the primary series. Usually for people it takes some years to master, or a month, it depends, to master the primary series, and then people start learning the second series, maybe the third, so slowly we learn those series. And the thing about those series of postures is that they are given, they are set. So it means that we are not to change, let's say, the sequence of the postures. We mustn't forget about the postures. We mustn't leave the postures if we don't like them, let's say. So the series is given, and we are to practice those asanas in this given order. And this order was been made for many thousands of years, and it makes sense to keep this order. So this is the second part, and actually, so it's like doing every day the same practice. And it makes Ashtanga Vinyasa different from the other styles of yoga, because in the other styles of yoga, you have, in most of them, every class is different. So the teacher shows something and people repeat it. In Ashtanga Vinyasa Yoga, it works in a little bit different way. So every day we do, let's say, same practice. And from my experience, I can say that before I started to practice Ashtanga, I used to practice some other styles like Vinyasa Flow, which are based on Ashtanga, but they're more westernized, let's say. They're more like modernized. They're not so traditional, and they don't work so deeply as Ashtanga. And I was really scared that if I start practicing Ashtanga, one and the same thing every day, I will be super bored. But I was very wrong, because each day you practice it, it feels completely different. Although it's a one and the same sequence of postures, it feels completely different every day. And because it's one and the same sequence, first of all, it's really challenging anyway. And second of all, that's why you don't get bored. And second of all, every time you do it, you go very deep because of this repetition. So you can focus on those postures more. You can focus on your breath more. You can focus on what's going on inside your mind more. That's why it makes a lot of sense to do those series, not to change them. So this is the second characteristic feature. And the third characteristic feature is that not that we just do some physical practice, not that we just concentrate on our breath, but also we concentrate all the time on some specific areas in our body, which I'm going to talk about a little bit later as well. And also we even have to be aware of where we are looking at. So in each asana, there is the direction of where to look. So you see, we have to concentrate on the breath, on those specific areas on the body, and also we have to look in some specific direction. And that's why some people call Ashtanga Vinyasa yoga a meditation in movement, because we have to be concentrated on so many things that our mind just doesn't have any chance to wander. So it's very concentrated. And that's why Ashtanga is so good for the people in the modern world, because only a few people can do some asana, physical practice, then do some breathing practice, then do some meditation. It takes a lot of hours. And in Ashtanga, everything is like combined. So you can do, you can call it some pranayama, meditation, and asana in one practice. And of course, if you want to practice more advanced meditation, it's not enough, but it's perfectly okay to train your mind how to concentrate better. So now let's talk in a more specific way about those concentration points that I mentioned, those areas in the body, because they are connected to the way that we breathe in Ashtanga Vinyasa as well. So those specific areas, they are called bandhas, and from Sanskrit it is translated as locks, energetic locks. So thanks to those areas, you kind of lock the energy inside and you don't lose it. The reason why we hold them all the time, it's not just this energetic reason, but also from the physiological reason, from the physiological point of view, it's quite important to activate them, since they engage very deep layers of the muscles, which are not so easily or often engaged in some other physical activity. And also those deep muscles, they protect your more vulnerable areas of your body, let's say lower back and so on. So it's very important to be aware of them to protect yourself as well, to be more healthy. So what are those areas? Actually, we use two, and first of them is called Mula Bandha. Mula Bandha is situated in your pelvic floor. So actually, Mula Bandha is lifting your pelvic floor. How to understand better what muscles exactly you have to use. So there are two ways of explanations that seem quite easy for understanding to me. The first one of them is that when you go to a toilet to urinate and you want to stop this process, you engage some specific muscles. So actually this is Mula Bandha. When you do your practice, you don't have to engage it somehow 100%. It's more about the slight feeling of lifting. Also, the second type of explanation that I like is that when you sit on with crossed legs and you have both of your sitting bones on the ground, just imagine that you want to make those sitting bones closer to each other. It's not possible, but when you visualize that and you want to do that, maybe you will notice that you turn on some specific areas, this pelvic floor muscles, and this is also Mula Bandha. And as I say, it doesn't have to be a very intense feeling, just being aware about it. And so just try to do it now, and if you do it, maybe you will realize that also you engage the lower belly muscles, and those lower belly muscles, lower abdomen muscles, this is actually another bandha which is called Uddiyana bandha. What does it mean? In Ashtanga we don't use this full Uddiyana bandha when you have to engage all of your abdomen and not to be able to breathe, of course not. So here it's more about slight lifting of the lower belly up. And don't confuse this slight lifting of the lower belly up with sucking the belly in, pushing it inside, pulling it inside. No. So I'm going to show you the difference between this placing the belly inside and lifting. Actually, you will notice that when you lift your belly, when you do this with the Uddiyana bandha, it's even deeper when you just pull the belly in. So I have to stand up for this. And now I'm going to show this just pulling the belly in. So you see now I'm just pulling the belly inside. And now I'm going to do Uddiyana bandha. So it's more about this lifting, and it's even deeper. And so this feeling of lifting should be sustained during all your practice. And again, it doesn't have to be something like 100% super engaged. No, sometimes just this slight feeling, slight sensation is enough. And as you notice, we do this, and when we do Uddiyana bandha, automatically our chest is a little bit lifted. And when we breathe doing Uddiyana bandha, it's more into the chest. So this is one of the characteristic features of the breath that we use in Ashtanga Vinyasa yoga. We breathe more with the chest rather than with the abdomen. And to try it, you can engage those Mula Bandha and Uddiyana bandha, and to place your hands on your ribs and start breathing. And notice like your rib cage is expanding and lifting with every inhale. You can notice it with your hands. And that's how we breathe. We want to keep the lower belly up, lifted, and feel this expansion and lifting of the chest. If you can feel it with your hands, you can place your hands on your knees and continue in the same way, still feeling this expansion and lifting of the chest. So this is the first characteristic feature of the breath that we do. The second one, when we breathe with a sound. I'm going to show you. And to produce this sound, you need to contract your throat, as if you wanted to say ha, but with your mouth closed. Actually, the mouth is closed all the time, during inhale, during exhale as well. And imagine that you want to pronounce this ha, and it's easier in the beginning to do it with an exhale. And then just remember this sensation in your throat and do the same with an inhale. can do it a few times. Listen to the sound of your breath. And connect it with the bandhas. So the pelvic floor is lifted, the lower belly is lifted, the chest is expanding and lifting with every inhale. And with every exhale, you want to empty your lungs. And the reason why we breathe in this way is that you get, of course, more concentrated when you breathe this way, and also you're not so easily get tired. So you can notice that you do one and the same practice, and in the first case you just breathe normally and you're super tired, and in the second case you use this breathing and you can do so much more. Also, all of this breathing, those bandhas, they create this internal heat. So, and when you have this heat, everything is more safe to do. Your body gets more warmed up, more flexible, and also it's very good for the overall health of your body to breathe in this way. So now let's just try connecting. So as I said, in Ashtanga Vinyasa Yoga, it's super important to connect every inhale and every exhale with the movement. So imagine that you do inhale, you start the movement, you finish the inhale, and you finish the movement. That's how we move in Ashtanga Vinyasa Yoga. And later on in the next class, I'm going to show you the sun salutation A, sun salutation B. It's how we start the practice, and you will see it there as well. But now let's just do some super simple movement, but being aware, very aware of connecting this movement with the breath. So let's just lift the arms with an inhale, and when the inhale finished, we finish the movement. And exhale, just placing the arms down, and we are going to add the forward bend here as well. So inhale, lift, and exhale, bend, connecting the movement with the breath. Inhale, lift, exhale, just here. And let's repeat it 2 times. Inhale, you lift, exhale, doing it with the breath. Inhale up, and exhale here. Also being aware of the Mula Bandha and Uddiyana Bandha. Inhale up, exhale down, and inhale up. So you can practice this breathing connected with those simple movements, and also being aware of those areas inside your body, just to understand this principle of Vinyasa, of the breathing and the movement connection. So just practice for a while. Thank you for watching, and later I'm going to show you how to do it in practice in sun salutations A and B.